Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Chris, the podcast on which I address your questions and concerns, as well as share my life with you in general. If you've got any subject that you want me to talk about, make sure to leave a comment down below, and I'll try to get to it as soon as possible. I attempt to make a new episode every single day, though some days I won't be able to, but that does mean that your questions and your concerns and all of that will be addressed relatively soon. These are all recorded on the day, so, and no editing too, which is why it's a little awkward. Anyway, let's get into it for today. I've got my coffee, and I don't know if you drink anything warm or cold or whatever you do, but let's enjoy it together at least. Let's do this. That actually made me think that maybe I should get a proper intro. One that's maybe pre-recorded. And then a short intro jingle. And then I start the episode. That could save me about a minute every day. I could do the same thing with an outro, and that could save me 2 minutes every day. And, it would ensure that I didn't constantly mess up the intro and outro. Because I do that. I really mess it up all the time. Anyway, it's finally happening. I'm going to be getting a haircut. To those of you who are new here, I have, I don't know, when it's not wet, it's about shoulder length, a little down below the shoulder, but it's very thick and it's very curly. And my hair has become a tangled, uncontrollable mess lately. My scalp is itchy, my hair is weird, and there's just nothing I can do at this point. So I've finally done it. I've booked a time. I've booked an appointment at the hairdresser. I'm going to go there and I'm going to get it cut. And I'm so excited for that. It's tomorrow. I was originally going to book it a little closer to my trip to Canada, where I leave on the 2nd of July. But then again, I thought it might be good to get it off now, then spend a few weeks actually taking good care of it, putting in some nice products and, hair masks and proper conditioning and all of that. I haven't really been able to do those things, not as well. I feel like I can't get a hair mask to really cover everything that it needs to cover, for example, because my hair is so thick and the curls, they stick together. Those kinds of things. So, yeah, I'm so excited to get that. I am a little nervous though, and that's mostly because I'm the kind of person who doesn't deal well with change. Especially not instantaneous change. Now, gradual change is different, but I actually also suffer from this very deep fear of success. I am afraid of succeeding because that would change my circumstances. I'll often face a project head on and make it 90% of the way, and then stumble on the last 10%. It's so ridiculous, really, but it happens, and I think it happens to a lot of people, not just to me. The fear of success. Success can be scary. I'm creating that dropshipping store, and the closer I get to the goal, the further away it seems. We have added the products that we need to add. Now I need to vet the suppliers. And we're going to add more products, but for now, this is good enough. Well, even though it's super simple to vet the suppliers, because they have ratings and all of that, I just need to check each and every one of them. Well, I didn't do it yesterday. I wanted to do it yesterday, but it's oh no, if I do that, then the next step is adding the products to the store. And once that is done, going live is the next step. So I'm getting closer and closer to success, and that scares me. But I need to just not be scared of it and simply do it, because I plan on this being ready for the 17th, and it will be ready for the 17th. By the 17th, I will have my first store up and running. Now, I say first. Why do I say first? Well, I actually say first because I'd like to think that I'm gonna start more. I have these ideas floating around in my head, and not all of them are good, not all of them are well thought out. My girlfriend also has a lot of brilliant ideas. And, we want to bring as many of these things into the world as possible, to have another shot at this or that. But we also got to be careful, to not move too fast, because the store needs to start becoming slightly self-sufficient before I just let it go. I'll never be able to fully let it go. I might eventually have the opportunity to hire someone to handle it for me, which I definitely will. But yeah, it's never done, right? That means we can only take on so many things. Now, one day, I might get to hire someone to handle the store. At that point, I can let it handle itself. For the most part, there'll still be some management, there'll still be a few things, But if I have someone sitting there doing customer support, fulfilling orders, all of those things, yeah, that would make it a lot easier for me. And at that point, I can start moving on to the next thing. I can have multiple things going on at once, but don't do too much. And right now, I'm doing a lot because there is a lot to do. I've got my exam, which is probably the scariest thing. I actually had a nightmare last night about not having handed in my exam in time. And that's weird because I did hand it in. And I did hand it in on time. I have a receipt for that and everything. But yeah, I still had that nightmare. And I woke up in a panic. Because I really thought that I wasn't going to get to go to Canada. But luckily, it's not an issue. It's a non-issue because I did hand it in, and we've been practicing theory and also improving our websites. So we are still meeting at school to the point where one of our seniors actually saw us. She was like, "Do you never go home?" We just had to tell her that no. What do you think? We're here to learn and practice. We want to be the best. And we will be. There are 4 of us now. We started out 3, but we've actually kind of semi-recruited another one. And she is probably the most likely candidate to replace the one that we tried to get in. But we're gonna have to, okay, so here's the thing. I love this girl. She is amazing. Probably shouldn't use the word love. We Danes, well, not every Dane, especially not those in the Copenhagen area and such, but Danish people we can use the word love in a way that's not as strong. So when we say I love writing with a pen, it makes sense, and that's the kind of love I mean for this girl. She's amazing, and I really think she's a great person. She can be, at least. She has her flaws like everybody else, yada yada, you know the deal. But the thing is, that's not enough. It's not enough that I care about her. It's not enough that I enjoy her company. She is not a good group member. She is not, she doesn't fit in with us because we are hardworking, self-sufficient, supportive. We are a lot of things. She is not. And it's not necessarily about the skill as designers, because as multimedia designers, we are at very different places. And there are a couple of people in class that are doing better design-wise than we are. Not just a couple. I've seen many instances of people making amazing things and me just being left in the dust. But that's the thing. I'm a tech guy. I can do a lot of technical stuff and I learn things relatively easily, but I'm not very creative. I've talked about this before, so I'm not really going to go into depth with it, but we each fulfill different roles, and we move forward. We move past barriers, where others in class, they often rely on talent. They rely on their existing skills. They don't show up. They don't do the work. So some of them needed to make websites, right? And they started watching a lot of videos by Kevin Powell. Kevin Powell is absolutely amazing. That man can teach me new things all the time. I'm always impressed at what he has to teach. Now, the issue with that is that they don't understand what he's saying. They just copy what he's saying without understanding why they're actually using the checked state of an input field as a non-JavaScript way of displaying a menu. Like, that's actually an incredibly interesting way to do it. But they don't understand what they're doing. I've talked to some of them, and they're just like, well, it does this. Yeah, but which part does what? Do you understand the code that you've written? No, I just copied what the guy said. Well, if you did that, you don't understand it. That means you can't make it on your own. You can't think about it. I hope to have coworkers who have independent thought, who look at this and go, how could this be improved? How could this be modified to different needs? That could, for example, be a dark theme switch. So, depending on the input state, variables change. That could be interesting, couldn't it? But people don't do that because they don't understand how it works. And so, yeah, it just bothers me, really, that they do it like that. I don't know, it's probably just me, but whatever. Yeah, I'm a little bothered by it, and that's what it is. Yeah. Sorry, I just started thinking that that's actually a good idea to add a switch, because I've got a dark and a light theme, and it's actually a good idea to add a switch, because that way I can display to any individual customer that I've done both. Any recruiters or potential co-workers, I've done both, rather than them just seeing whatever the system decides to show them, because they don't know that that's because I've decided to have a dark theme. They might think that's just my design. So I was just thinking, and that's actually a good idea. It's kind of funny how you can get ideas just like that by criticizing other people. But yeah, okay, so back on track here, because I'm getting distracted. Back on track. The point here is exactly that. I just used that thing about the checked input field in order to show a menu. I just used that to theorize how I could implement theming. They cannot do that. They don't understand what this thing does, so they can't play around with it. They can't modify it. They can't improve it. They can't use it for other things. They can't even explain it. They just know what it does. And if I wrote the code and showed them the code and asked them, what does this do? They would not be able to answer me. They'd need to know that, they only understand it because they click on the icon and then they, that code works. That's what makes them understand it, not the code itself. That's also one of the reasons that I always tell people to inspect their elements. People tend to go back into their code, which is fine if you know how to code, because I can often look at something and then be like, okay, I know why. Like the other day, for example, yesterday, I called Margin. She was making a special kind of button, and it was looking really weird, according to her. And like I told her, inspect it, and then I can guarantee you that you'll find that the paragraph tag inside your div has a margin to the bottom. And wouldn't you know it, it had margin bottom. Now that's not very impressive. Any developer worth his salt would be able to do that. Even someone who's never developed for the web would be able to just look at that and go like, there's something pushing it down. it's basic understanding, but that's kind of a point. When you don't have that basic understanding, you need to inspect. You need to check things out. But if you do have that basic understanding, you can just go back into your code. You can be like, oh, that's what's happening. And then you can fix it. And without that, you end up stuck. You really do. I try to encourage people to work hard for what they do, but they just don't. And I've tried to carry this girl that I spoke of earlier. Sorry, I got a little off track there, but I've tried to carry her through a little bit. And it's just, I'm afraid that she's going to fail. She's going to flunk her exam. Then she is going to flunk the next one too. And then we won't see her ever again. And I'll miss her. But at the same time, she is dragging us down, holding us back. So we'd actually have to dump her anyway next year. Probably in favor of this other girl that we've basically added to the team in her place. So, yeah, there's that. Anyway, it's time for me to go now. Thank you for listening. It's been enjoyable talking to you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye now.